Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Inside the Foul podcast brings you the opinions and perspectives of a couple best friends. And if you don't like that call, we've got 3 words for you. You're out of here! We are your hosts, bringing you all forms of baseball all the time, coast to coast. Chris and Ethan.
You ready for another fun one?
Oh, I'm always ready. So, baseball doesn't just test your talent. It tests your identity. It asks who you are when the lights are off, when the locker's empty, and when the phone doesn't ring. When the game you love stops loving you back. Christian Colon was born in Calle, Puerto Rico, a place where baseball is language, inheritance, and heartbeat. Where boys don't dream about contracts, they dream about escape, about opportunity, and becoming something bigger than the block they grew up on. He learned early that nothing in life is permanent. He learned that how to adapt, how to grind, how to survive. He bet on himself when he chose college over signing out of high school. Then baseball chose him, 4th overall in the draft. The future, the promise, the next great one. But baseball doesn't care about promise. It humbles you, it strips you down, it forces you to earn every single breath you take in the big leagues. Christian Colon rode buses through empty towns, waited on call-ups that never came, packed bags for cities that never had time to love, and learned it feels like to be needed one day and expendable the next. He lived on the edge of rosters, on the margins of lineups, on the thin line between almost and gone, and yet he stayed. Not because it was easy, but because it mattered. Yes, the world remembers the wild card run. Yes, the world remembers the World Series hit. But those moments were earned across 1,000 quiet mornings, 1,000 lonely nights, and 1,000 doubts swallowed whole. They were built on discipline, on sacrifice, on resilience. Today, Christian Colon is more than a champion. He's a teacher, a mentor, a man passing forward everything this game demanded of him. This is not a story about one swing. This is a story about a lifetime of swings taken when quitting would have been easier. This is Inside the Foul, and this is Christian Colon. Christian, thank you for joining us today.
Man, what an intro! That's really cool, man. That's one of the best intros I've heard, and it's true. Every single word is true.
So, before we get into all of that, and all the success and all the stories and everything, I kind of want to take it back to your childhood. Being born in Calle, Puerto Rico, you moved around a lot growing up. How did that early life shape you as a person and a ball player?
Well, as you know, Puerto Rico is all about baseball, and the culture there is they love sports. Um, and so I grew up playing baseball since I was 4 or 5. My dad loved it. He took me in, and we practiced a lot, man. Like we got after it ever since we were like I was 6, and my skills started developing pretty early, and he could tell that like he's taking on the things that most 6, 7 year olds don't have. So we kept pushing, we kept going, and but it was my foundation of my career. It was the work ethic was installed in Puerto Rico for sure.
So, Puerto Rico produces some of the toughest competitors in baseball. What did the heritage mean to you once you reached the big leagues?
Well, there's a lot of boxers there, and that's the pride too, like catchers and boxers. um, but being in the major leagues was a privilege always to represent Puerto Rico and where I was from. You know what I learned when I was a kid. All the stories about Roberto Clemente and um, you know my favorite player was Roberto Alomar and I was able to meet Carlos Beltran, which just got recently introduced to the Hall of Fame. Uh, Same town that I was living at. You know, Carlos has been amazing to all of us. You know, and it just feels like a family for sure of all of us that played.
Man, that's awesome. But so growing up, you talked about your dad, working with you and practicing. Um, who believed in you, the most growing up? And was it dad? Was it mom? Did you believe in it more than they did?
It was definitely Dad, and he pushed against a lot of coaches. I remember, you know, they didn't really see the vision at times, and they didn't think, you know, they had other guys that were a little bit developed at the time and more developed, I should say. And but he kept pushing, you know, he kept pushing me, and around 14, I got my first questionnaire from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and that's when I realized, oh, like this is achievable. Like I can get out there and play some good baseball. So, but he definitely believed the most at the early stages.
Well, you were drafted out of high school and then again in the fourth round in 2010. What went into the decision to bet on yourself and go to college?
Well, that's I wanted to sign right there out of high school. I wanted to start my career, but my dad, you know, he he always just felt like he knew my value. He knew what I could do. He seen me at my best, at my worst, and he just felt like I wasn't ready to go start my career as a professional. So, you know, we just continued to work. You know, we got a call in the third round, and we passed on it. And then after that, we were kind of set on Fullerton. It was actually between Arizona State and Fullerton with Murphy there at ASU. But you know, I had good opportunities. You know, those coaches that came in to Fullerton really believed in me too, and gave me an opportunity to play. And I can never just say thanks enough for that. You know, they really believed it. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to start playing right away. That's all I wanted to do. But I had to take a different path, and you know, it kind of worked out. You know, 3 years later.
So,
So,
in that development at Fullerton, what do you feel that you developed more about your game?
wow, that's a good question. Um, I would say mainly the routine aspect of my game, like how to work every day, how to be disciplined enough to manage all these different things, which was, you know, weights, school, practice, um, taking care of like film, um, just getting better overall in every aspect of my game. I think it helped me grow up. Obviously, you know, 3 years later, you go from 17 to 21, and those are crucial years, not only in your baseball development, but as a man.
So what's the atmosphere like at Cal State Fullerton? Because with us being on the East Coast, you always hear how great that program is, but you hardly ever see it on TV.
Well, back in the day, and I say back in the day just because like 2010 feels like a very long time ago. But before that, Fullerton was very rich in the alumni coming back and the history of the program, guys that came through there that really put the program on the map. Um, you know, the Phil Nevins and um, Mark Kotze and Justin Turner. And so those guys came back. Shane Costa, like I'm missing a bunch, but like guys that came back and really taught us what it meant to be a Titan. And it wasn't about the fancy stuff and the gear. It was about guaranteeing a trip to the World Series, leaving a stamp on a legacy there of different groups that came through. And I'm proud of the group we had. Myself, Gary Brown, Jared Clark, Fellhauer, you know, Nick Ramirez, Noe Ramirez, Kevin Rath. I think I mentioned just a bunch of good guys that for those 3 years we were there, we just got after it. Um, and then after that, there was plenty more good players that came through. But with the way things are shaped up now in college and the transfer portal, it's it's tough. It's tough for them to compete just to keep guys, in recruiting. But like one of my buddies said about this whole situation, it's like we're not really in the grind of things. We don't know how hard it is for those coaches, at Fullerton to get it going, and the expectation to win is hard. And so, I feel for those guys, and I hope they can turn it around.
Man, being a top five pick comes with a label, a future star label. How heavy did that feel at 20 years old? And did you feel like you were playing to prove yourself or playing not to fail?
I think that's. I want to say that I didn't care, but you care. Like I was playing to not fail at first. It was such a big label and all eyes on you. Most people are going to focus on the things that you don't do well. And so that was hard for me, coming from a place where I needed the praise. I needed to be told that, hey, at that time, like, you're doing everything possible. You're doing good. Keep going. Encouragement. Um, that's not what I found. I found a lot of criticism, a lot of things that I couldn't do. Um, and it kind of, put a different mentality out there for me. I realized quickly that this is more of a me thing. Like I have to be a team player, but also take care of my career. So to your point, I had a lot of pressure on me at first. Like my first year in Double A. I went straight from college pretty much to Double A, and first full season was I thought it was okay, but in many people's eyes wasn't. So I had to quickly learn from that and adjust and get tough minded and have tough skin and I went to the fall league, and then after that I kind of started taking off. But I had to earn, and that's what's different too a little bit now. It's like I back in the day, I was a top prospect and I was with the Moustakas and Hosmers and all those guys, but I had to earn my spot. Like it wasn't just given because I was a top prospect and a first round pick. And so yeah, they do have investment in you, and they see a vision for you, but you still got to do what you're supposed to do, man. And it's all about how you see it, perspective. I think I was not mature enough at the time to understand, what, like there's things I got to get better at and not get so much of my feelings about it and more of like, all right, let's get after it. Let's go work.
So I want to touch on the draft really quickly. Did you know going into it that you were going to be a top five pick?
Not top five, but I knew who I was a first rounder based on my advisor at the time. He's the best in the business, and so he told me, hey, you're gonna be a first rounder. Just chill, relax, enjoy the day, go have fun, and we'll call you. So I felt like I had a pretty good chance to go on, in the first round, but I didn't know Kansas City felt that strongly about me to try to, work out a deal where they could get me in the fourth spot.
What is that moment like when that phone rings?
I was
Because
shocked.
we see it on TV.
Yeah, yeah, that's back in the day when it was on the computer, and I think actually the first round was on TV. But I remember, like Harper was like a lock at number one, and I had a really good meeting with prior to the draft. I had a really good meeting with Baltimore, and they said we're gonna pick a shortstop. It's gonna be either you or some kid, I think from I don't know, a high school kid from Florida. And I remember like I mean this is a good chance for me to go right here. I was thinking like third would be crazy, but um, it ended up they took Machado, and we're like, oh yeah, that's a good pick, and obviously it turned out to be a great pick. Uh, but right after that pick, I get I thought well I'll probably go 10th or 12th or later on in the teens, but my phone rang immediately after that pick, and my advisor's like, "You getting selected right here," and it's the greatest feeling. Such a validation for all the work you've put in for your family. My parents, like being able to tell them like all the sacrifices that you made, um, all the hard things that I had to go through because I had some injuries and also like just pushing through things in life. It just made it all worth it then. And I felt like, man, like I'm ready to work. Think about when you're just super pumped up about something and on top of that, you take 5 shots of pre workout. Like, that's probably what it felt like. I was just like crazy, man. Just crazy, crazy happy.
Man, so fans see the debut. They don't always see the behind the scenes or the business side of baseball. You were set down, you moved around, you were DFA'd. You've lived the full experience of the business side of baseball as well as the successes in baseball. How do you
Yeah.
mentally deal with that
Yeah.
side of the game?
Such a good question. I'm glad you brought it up because I'm more passionate about those things than the accolades and the praise and the love I received. Trust me, like it was fun. I loved it. Team USA treated me really good. Team USA captain, all these things, first rounder, had a grip program, All American, all these things. Like I would, it made me happy. It validated the work and the talent. But what really taught me in life, less like life lessons, was the downs. I never thought in a million years, when you get drafted fourth overall, you're looking at a decent bonus and you're looking at, all right, I'm on my way to be a big leaguer for 10 years and multiple all-star games and, Ryan, get a contract to take care of your family financially and winning, um, you know, World Series is multiple and then, right in the sunset and just retiring and just, doing other stuff. But the reality is that that's not how I went. You know, I I had opportunities to get up there and contribute and like help the team win and and really be in situations where I could like help the team. But shortly after all those blessings, if you're not ready to receive those blessings mentally, like it could be hurtful too. So it's just I thought I was going to be in Kansas City for a long time, um, and then it didn't work out that way. 2017, I got DFA'd and I start bouncing around, man, and with the family, I have 4 daughters. It was tough trying to move them, from Atlanta to Vegas to then I got picked up, by um, I got picked up by the Reds. I signed with the Reds 2 years, and it just felt like a lot of moves, a lot of uncertainty. Even though you could go out there and perform, now is a numbers game. Like that's what fans need to understand too is that the organization has a vision for you, and at times it doesn't make sense, and they can't force you in there. They can't force a player to just go in the roster. So although guys in the minor leagues are performing, like it just timing's everything in the major leagues. Like I came up with a team that was ready to win, and they had to they had to make a move at second base. That was the only spot that was open. I was coming up, top prospect. I could have handled the position, but it felt like they had to go get a free agent and Omar Infante, and then that just blocked me from being an everyday guy. And looking at the business side of it, I felt like I shouldn't have been so upset about that. I said, it is what it is. Like let's just work and see what happens. But I got super upset, and I used it fueled me to like outplay outplay everybody. But at the same time, like it wasn't I wasn't in a good mindset.
Man, and that's the thing that I wish fans got to see, because fans can be very very harsh. Like they expect perfection out of a human being, and it's like
Yeah,
I kind of wanted to
yeah.
ask, was there ever a moment where you thought, I don't know how much longer I can do this, and what kept you going when the game stopped loving you back?
Honestly, those are good questions, and I would say my family, my girls, obviously, but internally, I looked in the mirror and I wanted to prove. I wanted to prove that I could still come back from, maybe not having the world of baseball loving me like they once did. I can come back and be content, um, enjoying the game like I once did before, professional baseball. Um, just the pure joy to play, I think, is what kept me going. Um, and the fact that you know I felt like I was born to play baseball, and I felt like I'd done it for so long. Like I really wanted to get that joy back. I wanted to go experience, just playing without all this external stuff. And I think I last year in 2021 when I signed to go play with the Kansas City Monarchs, um, a few days before I get a call from the Blue Jays and I get to go to AAA. But I remember getting there and they're like, "Listen, you're not gonna play much. Like we got top prospects here. Like we just needed a veteran guy that's been around that can help these guys." And I remember being like, "Oh yeah, sure. Like no problem. Like it's all good. Like this is probably gonna be my last year in my mind. It's like I feel good. I put in the work. I missed spring training, so it's not like I needed to. It was expectations, really. I was just there to support those guys, and then I ended up hitting 15 homers and playing like probably the best baseball I've ever played. So I think it's just enjoying what you do. Finding that joy back was like important for me. So that's what kept me going.
So I kind of want to touch on something because a lot of players in those situations, the mentality can make or break their ability. Some people disappear under pressure, others really begin to shine and refine their skills. So in those high leverage, situations, do you feel pressure or do you feel clarity?
I felt clarity. In most of my life, I can go back as like when I was a teenager and when games were like on the line, like I liked it. I liked it. I wanted it. Um, I think it was like a mindset my dad installed in me. He believed so much in me that like I felt like I could do anything. And so in these times I felt and when I failed in these situations, I took it hard too. But really I just felt like it was my duty to like perform at that high level in these situations and you find you do anything you got to do to get it done. So now I learned at a young age with having scouts watching you at 16 and having to perform and going to showcases, and you got to calm your nerves. I was nervous, always nervous. I always felt, hey, like this is, I feel it, but I embraced it. I feel like that's the difference. I embraced that nervousness. I embraced it. Like this is what you work out for. This is what you train, you eat good for. Like you take care of your body for all these moments, right? Like so to me it was I embraced it. And I think that's what happened in the wild card game. It was a little bit of luck involved in there with that bounce. but um but like I just embraced the moment, and embraced situations like that. But I was definitely nervous, man. Like when we get into the World Series, like I explain more, but like it was crazy.
Well, let's go to the that wild card game. Let's go to Oakland. Season's on the line, you're standing at second base knowing that one swing could end the season, you know, when you come across the plate. What is that moment like? Take us back to that moment in your head to that wild card game.
Really long game. I felt like it was like three different games in one. But we got down early. Ventura, rest in peace. He gave up a homer to Moss, I remember, and we were down like 7-3. In like the seventh inning or something like that. Like with Lester on the mound, like it wasn't looking good. But to our credit and a lot of our guys' credit, like that's how we really felt like we had nothing to lose, and again, like we're not gonna give up. Like anything can happen, right? Like we we just embrace the moment, and I think by embracing the moment, we played loose, we played together, and so all of a sudden you look up and it's like 7-4 or 7-5, and it's like, wait a minute, like we're in this game. Um, and then like you get called on to go pinch hit, and all of a sudden you're in the biggest moment of the game. Uh, and Hosmer hitting that triple, setting it up was incredible, obviously. But and then that read he had on that bouncing, like swinging bunt. It was just once we tied it, I felt like all right, like we can breathe, because we were trying to catch them, the whole game, and we would take the lead, they'd tie it up, they'd take the lead, and then we came back. And so it was just a lot of like up and down emotions. And just getting to first base, I didn't even know, if you look back at the video, I didn't know if I should have celebrated more or not, because it's like, man, like we just tied the game, like we still got to play, like I got to get to second base somehow, and it just like wasn't really like the time for me, I guess, to fist pump and go all crazy. Like I was locked in on what I had to do. Um, and Rusty Coombs, our first base coach, was amazing. He had such an eye for like tails on pitchers and catchers, and being able to like get to second base with the best of them. And he just leaned over and said, "We're going on this pitch right here, no matter what." And I took off, and I remember like taking a quick pick, and it was a pitch out, and I'm like, "Oh no!" Like I'm trying to just go, and luckily he took his eye off the pitch to see where I was and dropped it, straight up dropped it. And I said, once that happened, I remember, all right, like we have a pretty good chance here, because like Salvi puts the ball in play, like he doesn't strike out a lot. Some can happen here. And then once he hit the ball and it was kind of towards the line, I see Donaldson dive, and on my angle, I can really see the ball get past him. My immediate reaction was, all right, don't miss third base. Like, don't miss third base or home plate. Like, look down and touch the base, dude, because like that would be like the worst mistake you can make at the time. And so you could see, I kind of look down, I touch it, I put my hands up in the air, and then when I'm getting to home plate, I look down to make sure, because uh, it was important for us. So, but like it was crazy. There was a picture of me, with my hands up, and the fans and everybody going crazy. Like I blacked out after that. It's just like I don't remember anything. Who I hugged, who was talking. Like it was just such a crazy moment. Um, and obviously, like it was a lot of confidence, man. Like we went, we swept the playoffs all the way to the World Series.
Listen, as someone that watched that game, I've never seen a player look down at a base to make sure they touched it like you did. Like in that moment, it felt like you looked at it for like 10 minutes to make sure, even though you only looked at it for probably like 5 seconds. But you made sure you touched that base. Like
I,
it was quite unreal watching,
I
because I'm like,
absolutely.
this man made sure
I
he
felt
touched both
like
bases.
that's such a good observation, because like that's what's going through my mind. I didn't want to make that mistake of not touching it or something. I'm not gonna take chances. It's been 30 years since we were in the postseason. So many lives are like hanging on this, and we just worked so hard. I I could see, me being so excited, celebrating, like maybe like skipping over it. I don't know. And I just wanted to make sure.
Listen, as a baseball coach, I feel like that moment needs to be shown to kids in that moment, to always double check, to look, because in that exciting moment, if you wouldn't have double checked, like you said, you could have skipped right over it and would have never known.
Yeah, and I mean they can pull it back and review it, whatever. Like at the time, honestly, like my feeling on it was that I was so excited, and people were coming up to me like running from the dugout. I could tell, like I could easily just like start jumping in someone's arm and barely touch it, but it wasn't going to be a play, So why not take my time to really look? It wasn't going to be a bang bang play, so it's not like I had to, you know, just go all out like a base hit, hard base hit to left field. I had to go all out. I mean, I had time to look and celebrate at the same time. So
Man, but those are the small details in a major moment that you don't want to miss on the small stuff. But I feel like that execution and that thought process really showed itself more so in Game 5 of the World Series. Extra innings again. The season's on the line. I don't know what it is, but you tended to attract that in your career. But
yeah,
you step in and
yeah,
deliver the walk off hit. But like When the ball left your bat, did you know?
Yes. When it left my bat, I didn't feel it. It just like hit in the perfect spot, and I saw it go over the shortstop's head, and it's like, yeah, like it was such a roller coaster. But to your point, I think our coaches and the whole organization of Kansas City always emphasize like fundamentals and playing the game the right way. It was such a like it was installed in us from like since I was 20 years old to do things right on the bases and to play our game, put the ball in play when you need to, hit behind runners, um, know know the situation of the game, and so I was already polished at that baseball IQ, but with our coaches and Rusty Coons, really like we took it to another level. Um, so when I was hitting with Dyson at third base, all I could remember is, hey, like let's just make sure we put this ball in play. I mean, we got the fastest guy on the bases. Why not just put it somewhere? He's gonna make it happen. What I didn't know is that I was on the bench and I had previous experience with the K being packed and being loud. Like the wild card game was one of the loudest baseball games I've ever been a part of, and I had that experience, and I felt like I'll be all right. Like I can calm my nerves down and stuff. But when I stepped out there to City Field, man, I was like, my legs started shaking, and I'm like, all right, like I gotta like take a break here. And I remember talking to myself, talking to God, saying like, I won't ever ask for anything else in my life. I just get these nerves away. Like let me just play, man. Like just do what I've done forever. Calm yourself down, breathe. But sure enough, like I step in the box and I take a first pitch slider, and then I check swing at another one that was a ball, and I go. And I mean, it's like the umpire makes it so obvious and so big, like, yeah, and like the whole stadium just erupts, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just gotta take a step back. I gotta take a step back here, man. And long story short, I go from that to like pretty much telling like God, please, like let me do what I do. Um, and next thing you know, you don't think about the fact that the pitcher is nervous too. Like he can make a mistake, and everybody's nervous. Like everybody's like, please don't hit it to me. Probably like it's like this is crazy. So he lets go of one. I remember it was 0-2. He lets go of one, and I saw it well, and I fouled it off. So now I'm 0-2 still, but I'm fighting. It kind of seems like I'm battling, and then the next pitch is I see it. Another slider is a ball, and the good thing the one thing I was able to keep in check, even though being like really nervous, was that I wasn't guessing like, all right, now a fastball's coming. All right, he's throwing me sliders. Like, no, I was literally not thinking about any pitch. I was just ready for whatever in the zone and reacting. And so when he let go of that slider that I actually hit, I could see it, like popped up, you know, it backed up on him and I could see it. And I just kind of put the bat on the ball and it just took off. And talk about a different feeling than I was just feeling 2 seconds ago. I mean, I'll put my hands up and I'm like, this is the greatest thing you could I could ever experience on a baseball field, man. Like I felt invincible, and that was the time to celebrate. What I didn't do in the wild card game, I did there, and it was so quiet that I could hear myself, and my teammates talk like yelling. And I mean, that was I've never seen a stadium that quiet. It was wild.
And those are the moments that, as a player, like, it's what you dream of in the major leagues. You want to hit that walk-off home run. You want to win the World Series with your team. And that 2015 team you guys had was just it kind of felt like the little engine that could all season. Like, you guys really put it together and came together as a team and won. And it wasn't flashy. It was hard work, and you could tell.
Nah, I mean that's exactly right. Credit to Dayton Moore, credit to Nate Yost, the coaching staff. They played it perfect. Like, and credit to our players that like we knew our roles. And to your point, it's like I think the Mets fans were so quiet because they knew like, oh, Wade Davis is still out there. Like, it's done. Like, I think the way we were built, it's like after the sixth inning we had the lead and it was over. And those guys like stay healthy. Those guys wanted the ball. Um, so credit to all those guys. Like they're tough, man. Like and our team was built on speed, fundamentals, being at the right place, putting the ball in play. Just being a tough out. And I think for that year, it worked out for us. Like being so close in 14, two hurt. Because if it wasn't from Baumgartner, I really believe we would have had two rings. And we knew like we could do it. So, but it was a long 2 years. I mean, we're playing all the way up to November and right back in February. And it's a lot of stressful innings, and I think that's what meant so much more to us. I think like seeing how much effort we put into it. Because guys were hurting, but they were still, no, like we got to get this done. The will to win was like incredible for the city too.
So before we transition away from the World Series talk, can we see what the ring looks like? I would love to see the ring.
Here it is, right here, baby. This is this is it.
That is absolutely
Mr. Glass, the
awesome.
whole ownership at the time did a great job. The two blue diamonds right here represent back-to-back World Series appearances. 14, 15, 2015 right there. It's got Kauffman Stadium on the side, and then inside it has like all the series that we had that year and who we beat.
That's cool.
It's
Wow.
yeah, against 3-2 against Houston and 4-2 Toronto, and then the Mets in 5 games, back to back AL champs. Um, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful, and like the one thing about this is they can't take it away. One thing about this is
Nope.
Nope.
Man, so what was it like when they did the ring presentation for you guys?
oh, it was excitement. I mean, everywhere, everybody in the city was excited, and I mean, all the guys were just. We had to go play, obviously, opening day, but everybody was just looking at it, just so happy. And guys that, it was I got called up in 2014. So I was experiencing two World Series back to back to start my career. And so, I felt like, this is awesome. Like this is there's none better than this.
So I have to let you know, I was probably the biggest non-Royal fan that 2015 being the Mets being my rival. Listen, I don't think anyone like cheered for y'all harder than me, not being a Royals fan. I remember my dad going, "You don't
uh,
even root for that team." I
uh,
said, "But we have to root for them. Okay, we're not." He goes,
absolutely,
"Really?" I
absolutely.
said, "No, can't see the Mets win it." I said, "I'd rather see them win it." I said, "This team is just built different. Something about the moment that I was like, it's
Yeah,
hard not to root for y'all."
yeah,
And he goes,
yeah,
"Okay, I'm just trying to
yeah.
figure out what you're doing over there, kid."
Yeah, anything to go against the Mets for sure. Um, but honestly, I have to say what I got um released in 2018 from I signed with the Braves, and in June, May or June, I get released from in AAA, and after that the Mets call me and pick me up, and that was in 2007 18. So it's and so they gave me an opportunity, man, to like continue to play, obviously, and I went to Vegas, had a great time, had a great season. Like they treated me really well. Like so on that aspect, like I'm very thankful of them in many ways.
So I have to touch on the Braves moment since you brought it up. I was hoping we would keep you and you would be called up because I felt like your leadership and the knowledge you had from looking at the game, I think you could have benefit by helping that team. Because I think your leadership mixed with Freddie's leadership would have turned that team into something amazing. So low key, like I was like, once we signed you, I was like, all right, just hurry up and get through AAA. We need you. Like like I think you would have clicked with some of those young guys, and they would have been like, oh yeah, we can do this.
You know what? Like I appreciate you saying that because like a lot of people felt that way. Um, not only on my side, my camp, but a lot of their coaches too. Like Ron Washington was all about me, man, and EY too. It was such a good experience at in spring training. You know, I had a really good spring training, but that was the year I believe that Alex Anthopoulos and his his crew went to Atlanta, and Charlie Culberson and them, they had some history, I think, where they somewhere. And I think it was between me and Charlie for that utility role, and you know it came down to the wire, and I believe I had a really good spring training. Um, but when it came down to it, they called me in the office, and Alex was probably didn't know much about me besides being on the Royals and all the stuff that in the postseason because we did play against Toronto a lot. So he's like, we're gonna send you to AAA, and I think like at that time I was in a mental space where the game wasn't really loving me back, like we talked, and I kind of lashed out, and not in a bad way. I just told him like, there's no way. I mean, man, like I've done everything you've asked, like everybody's asked here. You could ask everybody. I grew up with Freddie Freeman in California. Like I stayed at his house. Like we were buddies. Like so everybody knew that. Everybody saw the chemistry, and to your point, like I felt like I could have been part of that team, especially with like a young uh, Dansby Swanson that was kind of struggling at the time a little bit. Ozzy Albies he gravitated to me a lot, and we talked a lot. Even young Ronald, we had a really good relationship. And Riley too. Like it was cool. They looked up to me because we had just won a World Series not too long ago, and I told them, "Mate, like you guys are gonna be right. Like you guys are good. Like you guys are coming up, and you guys are gonna win a lot of these." And sure enough, they were in a couple, and so to your point, man, I'm glad you say that and you see it that way because that's how we all felt. But I don't think that sat well with Alex and the front office how I responded, and it just didn't work out because I wasn't even playing in AAA much, and I struggled too in AAA with the games that I did receive, and just
So, that leadership and that level of accountability and everything, I feel like that kind of sets you up when you retired to transition into coaching. What pulled you towards that next chapter, and what kind of coach do you feel that you are or that you're becoming?
I looking back, I knew I wanted to stay in the game. It went back and forth. I felt like sometimes, I let my emotions get the best of me and I would make mistakes and I would say things out of character and I would do things out of character because of my emotions were so strong towards the game. And it was hard for me to see the business side of it. But once I got done playing, I realized there's so much hurt here and there's so much joy too that I have to give it back. I felt like guys could benefit from certain things that they go through in the professional level. And I'm always thankful for my career because, like I said, I felt like I had two careers. I felt like I had top prospect, I mean, top everything in college and like well covered by Baseball America, all these things, and first round pick, and this guy's gonna make a bunch of money, and then, like I told you, I had a lot of success early on in my career, but at the big league level, but then it was a struggle. So I could see both sides of this: the DFAs, the utility players that don't play, and the struggles. And I've always looked at Alex Cora as a mentor, and I've been able, I've been lucky to be able to talk to him and chop these things up. And I feel like that's what makes him a really good manager too, is that he had both sides. And I think for me, like the ups and the downs, like they need to be shared. And obviously I needed to come to terms with a lot of it and I needed to get over a lot of things. And maybe, at times it's still a struggle, but when I'm at my best when I can see other guys like fulfill their dreams and avoid some of these headaches and some of this pain that really in the end, like, it don't matter. I could have told Alex at the time with Atlanta, I said, hey, you know what? Thanks, man. Thanks for the opportunity. I know that you just coming in here. You're trying to figure things out. The season's almost here, and you guys are now taking over this organization. Man, I appreciate it, and I'll be here for whatever you need. I think it would have gone a different way because I play well. So, and I think that's sometimes that's what guys need to do. They just need to understand that it's a business. Things got to go the way they got to go, and it's really you can't take it personal. You know what I mean? So, because I really see it come full circle after Atlanta. I get picked up by the Mets, and then they treated me really good, and I was kind of like getting humbled by the game. And um, when I signed with the Reds, I had that mentality, and I was able to really flourish with the Reds as a person too, and made some great relationships there that carry on now to like coaching. Because they were like, "Man, how are you so cool with anything, but still like putting in the work?" And it's like, man, I've learned from some of the mistakes that I've made. So that's the whole thing. I'm never gonna have to like have it figured out. But that's what pushed me to coach is like they're like I want to walk alongside these guys and like be a help and have be there for their journey.
Man, so close with my I've only got a few more questions before we close, and Chris has got some fun rapid fire fun questions. But when baseball's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered, not just as a player, but as a man? And what does success look like and mean to you now?
Wow, love that question. I would like to be looked at as a guy that made a lot of mistakes, but learn from them. A person that loved players, loved the game of baseball, and give it a lot of heart and made a lot of sacrifice for the game for the players. But I wasn't perfect, and I'm not perfect, so I want people to remember that, man. He overextended himself, and he cared. He cared, and to me, that's all I would need. And I mean, success for me now is making good decisions, not being impulsive, um, not letting my emotions of the hurts of the game really dictate the beauty of the game and the beauty of what it gives us and what it gives people and players and it's just the grace that have given me and the grace that I want to give it to the game and the players. Like I think that to me is success. It's just being able to take a step back and not take the blessings and not the hurts.
I really hope that anybody listening to this gets that same story because, yes, we talk about the clutch moments and we talk about everything else, but everything that goes on behind the scenes. But with my last question, I want to know, with age comes wisdom and everything. Would you do it all again?
Absolutely, and I think that's part of why we coach, because we don't want to take the uniform off and we get a chance to redo it all over again with all these guys.
I want to say thank you. That's the end of the my serious questions. Chris has
Listen,
got the
listen.
fun stuff.
They call me the
Thank
fun one,
you. I
so we're gonna have
appreciate
some
you.
fun. So the fun question that I love asking players: what is the one teammate that you wish you could have one at bat with and take yard, just for pure fun purposes? What is that one teammate that pitched that you're like, man, I wish I could get that one at bat?
That is such a cool question. Uh, Edison Volquez.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, now I gotta ask
Yeah,
why.
I just want to talk so much crap to him because he said that he said that I had no pop, and he's like always telling me how you better hit that ball to right field because you can't go deep and this and that. And if I take him deep, I would just be like, I'll bat flip. He won't hear the end of it. He won't hear the end of it. He was always messing with me about
That's
like
awesome.
not having power.
Okay, see. I'm gonna see. I feel like I need to make this a reel so we can tag him, so we can get this in the cage, because we can use
Hey,
the
you
hit
know what? I
track
think
and
he
you
can still
those
he can
yards.
still pitch a little bit, and I've been hitting a little bit. Before we get too old, we might have to try that somewhere.
Listen, I have a
So
feel.
Eddie
We're in
Volquez,
Florida.
Bobby, I'm coming for you, bro. I need that homer.
Listen. I coach in Florida, so we got access to a field. Okay, it's
Oh,
sunny here.
perfect.
Sunny
Perfect.
and warm.
Yes,
Perfect.
yes. Favorite jersey that you've ever worn?
Uh, man, I would have to say the Royals with the gold lettering and the gold number. Like, I think that looks so sharp, and we got to wear it, after in 2016 a lot for home games.
Okay. Favorite road stadium that you enjoyed playing in?
I enjoy Wrigley
I
because
enjoy
of the
Wrigley.
atmosphere. I enjoyed Fenway too because of the history and the atmosphere. But I love Toronto. Toronto was like really cool to me. Like it just cool city, and the field was cool. Like, and then like based on like facility, how nice it was. Minnesota was like really good. Target Field, it's really nice.
Favorite pregame superstition or ritual you had to do before each game?
And I always pray during the anthem. I mean, that was like my time to kind of like relax in terms of like I've been going, nonstop, taking ground balls at short, second, third, BP, running sprints because I didn't play much. So then when the anthem came up, it was like I had just shower, putting my uniform on, go out there, and there was a rule. It was a rule, but like guys didn't like we policed each other on that. Well, we needed to be out there for the anthem, so that was like my time to like pray, and I did it throughout my career. So then just not even pray. Sometimes just talk, talk to God or talk to myself.
So I've got two more. Favorite clubhouse slash dugout story you can tell without getting anyone in trouble.
Um, oh, buddy, let's see. Well, I've been part of some good stuff like with Bauer and Cincinnati. Um, and Sonny Gray, and let's see. There's countless of stories where there's things that happen under the dugout, in the tunnel that it's incredible. Like guys, you know, it's not roses all the time. So guys get mad at each other and they go down there and all of a sudden, like I remember one night I was coming I was coming up because I went to the cage, and I was coming up to go to the dugout, and I see, two guys really about to scrap. They're about to fight underneath the tunnel. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, we guys, like, what happened? And it was a pitcher, and a guy didn't make a play for him, and they had beef before, and I mean everybody ran down there, and it was like trying to separate the guys. So that happened, you know, I would say quite a bit. And then I remember another story where like I would see things that I'm like, whoa. So I come down, and you know guys are like dipping their fingers in like the stickiest things you can see. And it's like their fingers are like brrr. I'm like, dude, no wonder your curveball is that nasty. Like, guys that I would watch from another team, and then I ended up playing with them or something. And then I'm like, oh, no wonder why. But that was before they had to make the adjustments and stuff with that. But you got to see the internal things of like how guys really are. Like the Trouts and the superstars, the Bryce Harper and Acuna, and like how they really are behind closed doors, and it was fun. It was cool.
So last one. Do you have the walk off bat?
I
Or
don't.
did that go? Because I know it went to the
I
Hall of
don't.
Fame. I didn't know if you got it back or not.
No, it's still around there. Yeah, and it's okay. There's part of the game, and I always say that I give it all I had, and I'm glad I'm able to have that moment. But I I can't get rid of this right here. They can't get this one. They can't
Absolutely.
get.
So I appreciate you coming on. Listen, I Listen, I can mark off that I saw a World Series ring that's not a pitcher, and I appreciate that. As a diehard baseball fan that loves baseball, uh, I appreciate that.
No, man, I appreciate you guys
Man,
for having me, giving me an opportunity to speak on my experiences and my career. We can go on forever, and you guys are
Once
you
Kansas
know
City Monarch season starts, and I'd like to hear the coaching side of you as a baseball coach
yeah,
myself. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do that, and we can dive more into the player development side.
yeah, I'm down.
absolutely. Man, so Christian, before we let you go, where can our listeners find you?
Well, my Instagram is Christian Cologne 24. Um, I have a Twitter as well. And I like to interact, especially like now that I'm becoming more like more aware of like the social media. Like I'm more active on social media than I ever had before. So I'm always willing to share anything. If you got any questions, I just want to help the game and want to help the guys that want to play. So
Well, Christian, thank you for coming on once again. This has been so much fun. We will try to have to schedule something else again. But
yeah,
until next
absolutely.
time, guys, this is
Yeah,
Inside the
absolutely.
Foul. You guys stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you next time.